Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, sustaining Alaska's pipeline and its operations today and into the future.
The National Weather Service.
Welcome to your Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Percy Dehne. This is your Alaska Weather for May 18th, 2016. You can follow us on www.arh.noaa.gov as well as on Facebook and Twitter. There's really no hazards today, no fire dangers. The River Forecast Center did issue a flood watch just right before I left for the Colville Village. That's on the Arctic coastline, and that's going to be through Saturday. There is an ice jam about 20 miles upstream of the village, so hopefully that won't let go. And if it does, then they will have to issue a flood advisory. Anyway, starting off with the satellite in the Gulf, not the Gulf, but the central Bering, we have two low pressure systems, just one over the just west of St. Matthew Island, and then one southwest of the Pribilofs. Again, this is producing low stratus and scattered rain showers throughout the Bering. Over the southeast, you got there's a weak low pressure system sitting over just southwest of Hattagwai. So we got southeasterly flow with bringing in moisture there to the southeast panhandle. And as you can see the loop here, you have the high clouds and low cloud stratus moving into the southeast panhandle. In the central Gulf all the way up to the Anchorage Bowl, pretty much beautiful skies here, a ridge of high pressure, so gorgeous weather. Some low clouds mid-deck moving into the Alaska range and a little bit over the Copper River Basin. Otherwise, the next system that's going to be approaching will be just south of the Dutch here. You have got a low pressure system that's going to be moving up, so it's bringing this high cloud shield just south of the chain here. Also, along the western Aleutians, you have a next high occluded low pressure system that's moving in, and it's bringing a swath of moisture into the western Aleutians. And you do have a slight break in here over the western Bering. Anyway, just moving us into loop, this low stratus that's coming off the Beaufort Sea, that'll continue to produce low clouds here along the Arctic coastline. Also with some fog issues there, patchy fog. Today's weather, there's a low pressure system that's sitting over the just west of St. Matthew Island, and that's got a warm front extending through the YK Delta region, then a stationary front through the Kuskokwim Valley and all the way over along the Alaska range. Look for a slight chance of thunderstorms in the Kuskokwim Valley this afternoon. And then south of the southwest of the Pribilofs, so you have this weak low pressure system with scattered showers around that, and some low and some fog in the eastern Bering. Over the southeast, you're going to ridge of high pressure extending from this 1037 millibar high pressure sitting in the North Pacific. So that ridge of high pressure is pushing all the way up into the northern Gulf. Over the southeast panhandle, you have a weak low pressure system here. Southeasterly flow, so that's bringing some onshore flow and clouds into the southeast panhandle, producing some light rain. And then along the Arctic coastline, again, that 1,035 millibar high that's sitting over the eastern Beaufort Sea, you're producing low stratus and some fog issues throughout the Arctic coastline, as well as down the Chukchi Sea region. And then here's that warm front that's approaching the next system, this southwest of the western Aleutians. Tonight's forecast, this low pressure system over the northern Bering will continue to this weekend and pretty much almost stationary. It has a weak trough extending through the YK Delta region, and that'll produce some scattered showers along the coastline, as well as in the interior just south of the Seward Peninsula. Again, some slight chance of thunderstorms in the Kuskokwim Valley. And then over the Pribilofs, not the Pribilofs, but the western Aleutians, you have that southwesterly flow, some light rain that'll start pushing in. And then the southeast, again, this high pressure ridge extending through the all the way to the northern coastal community. So Kodiak, eastern Kenai, they're going to have in the Alaska Peninsula, southwest interior, nice, beautiful skies tonight. So the southeast, that low pressure system will begin to exit, so you'll start clearing out, but still some light rain there on the Dixon entrance region. Thursday forecast, again, you're going to have this included low pressure system that's going to start moving up closer to the eastern Aleutians. So the warm front extending just south of the southwestern Gulf. So southerly flow in here, more moisture pushing in. So that moisture will be pushed all the way up into the Anchorage Bowl and the central interior. And then you're going to have a chance of light isolated thunderstorms in the Kuskokwim Valley for Thursday afternoon. And then you have a low pressure system, again, that's just filling, and scattered showers are around that. On the backside, you have a wintry mix with the cooler temperatures in the Anadarko Gulf region. And then the western chain, you have, again, that system that's starting to move in. Warm front, bring plenty of southerly flow with warm air and some light rain in that region. The southeast, you're going to be effects of the high pressure that's moving in, gradually moving to the east. So gorgeous skies for tomorrow. So you're going to have a beautiful day for fishing out there. So enjoy it. Along the northern Arctic coastline, you'll have that weak high pressure system that'll move farther east in the Beaufort Sea, but you'll start clearing out there, and you'll have some sunny skies along the Arctic coastline. Friday's forecast, this included low pressure system will move closer to the eastern Aleutians, and then that warm front will be extending up into the southwestern Gulf, and that'll bring a strong southerly push of air and moisture continued into the all the way southwest interior, and just all the way up to the Brooks Range, with an inverted trough extending along the YK Delta region and just south of the Brooks Range. In the southeast panhandle, continue gorgeous skies for Friday. Again, you're under the effects of that high pressure, so you may have some high cirrus, but again, excellent fishing weather, getting out to doing gardens or whatever else. And then that low pressure system, it continues to fill, and it'll bring scattered rain showers, a winter mix on the backside of this low over the northern Bering and the Anadarko Gulf region. And then that low pressure system will scoot south, just south of the Shemya, and that'll bring light rain, but so not much else with that. Temperatures as 1 p.m. Is not surprising with this high pressure sitting over the North Pacific, strong southerly push of warm air. So you're going to have a temperature at 1 p.m. this afternoon where in the upper 50s, 59 at Cordova, 59 at Valdez, 53 at Anchorage, 57 as you go down the eastern Kenai, 57 at Seward, 53 at Homer, 54 at Kodiak. For the southeast, again, you're under the influence of high pressure, so you get temperatures in the 50s. A little cooler there at Kloak at 49. You had 59 there at Whitehorse. Temperatures for the Arctic coastline, not surprising with the easterly flow, a little cooler in the 30s, 27 at Barrow. As you go along the northern Bering Strait there, you're going to have 41 at Tin City, 37 at Gamble. Then along the chain, in the mid-40s, 46 at Cold Bay, 46 at Dutch, in the mid-40s as you're going out the chain, 43 at Shemya, and in the lower 40s, 42 at St. Paul, 40 at St. George. Tomorrow's low temperatures. The coolest temperatures again are going to be farther north with that high pressure in the mid-20s, and then pretty much in the lower 40s to mid-40s throughout the southwest interior and central interior, all along the chain in the 40s. For the southeast, tonight's low temperatures are going to be in the lower to mid-40s, 47 coming in the highest there at Kloak. Tomorrow's high temperatures, pretty much on the Alaska range up to the Yukon Valley in the lower 60s to mid-60s, and you have 67 at Glen Ellen, 60 at Talkeetna. Over the southeast, continue to high pressure dominating, so you're going to have high temperatures in the 60s, 64 there at Skagway and Juneau. Along the chain, pretty much all in the mid-40s to lower 50s, 50 coming in there at Port Moller. and then the 43 at Shemya, a little cooler farther out there, and 37 at Gamble. Tomorrow's flying weather, you're going to have marginal VFR to IFR in the pretty much all the northern bearing and the eastern bearing with this low pressure system that's just sitting here and filling. And then you have marginal as you extend out to the western bearing in the chain. On the Pacific side, you're going to have a swath of marginal VFR with that next occluded system that's starting to push up. And then with that low stratus along the Arctic coastline, that's why you have marginal to IFR conditions up there. In the southeast, there's pretty much high pressure dominating, so no worries there. Flying weather for the afternoon, you'll have some chance of isolated thunderstorms there in the Kuskokwim Valley. And then with that occluded system moving closer, so you're going to have IFR conditions, the marginal VFR just south of the Alaska Peninsula and just south of Kodiak. And then you're going to have, again, pretty much throughout the bearing with the low pressure system that's going to start to fill and continue to fill, as well as that next system that's approaching the western Aleutians. Farther north, that low stratus will start burning off, and so you'll have start getting some clear skies up there, improving conditions. Tomorrow's flying conditions, Anaktuvik VFR conditions. For Adigan VFR conditions, Lake Clark and Merrill, you'll have VFR conditions. You will have some slight chance of thunderstorms in the western entrance. Rainy VFR conditions, isolated conditions for thunderstorms, that is, in the afternoon. Windy VFR conditions. Isabella VFR conditions. Mentasca VFR conditions. Tanita VFR conditions. And Portage VFR conditions. Chillicook and White VFR conditions. And then tomorrow morning is freezing levels. Not surprising with a northeasterly flow here. You have the cooler temperatures coming down to the northern bearing and portions of the central bearing. With this strong southerly push, you're going to see the freezing levels all the way up to 8,000 feet just south of Kodiak. And not surprising with the strong southerly push and the strong jet stream in this region. And the warm areas make it all the way up into the central interior to 4,000 feet just south of the Brooks Range. Tomorrow's icing, you'll have, with this swath of high clouds coming in, freezing levels are way up there. So it's above 10,000 for isolated to occasional moderate for icing just south of Kodiak and south of the Alaska Peninsula. And then a swath just sitting off above 8,000 just south of, sitting off the southeast panhandle. And again, continued slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon for the Kuskokwim Valley. The jet stream, you're going to have the same pattern we've had for the last month. Strong northwesterly flow here coming off just west of the Chamcaca, I can't even say that tonight, Chamcaca Peninsula. Then that transitions to more southwesterly as you go along the Alaska Peninsula here. And that's going to be with that strong southerly push here with this high pressure dominating here in the North Pacific. And then it transitions to northwesterly as it starts to transition to southerly in the lower 48 with that other low pressure system sitting in the lower 48. High pressure is still dominating over the Beaufort Sea. Northwesterly flow at 80 knots coming through there into the eastern Beaufort. In the low pressure sitting in the northern bearing, you do have a finger 80 knot northeasterly jet stream sitting over the eastern Siberian, just diving into the western bearing. Tomorrow's 9,000 foot winds, cyclonic flow with this low pressure system, 25 knots. You go in the interior, then weakens to northwesterly, 15 to 20 knots, and then southwesterly over the western Aleutians with that weak system. Over the Gulf, you're going to have strong southerly winds, 45 to 50 knots, and then with a high pressure northwesterly flow going over through the southeast panhandle at 15 knots, but it increases as you get towards Hattagawai at 35. And weak anticyclonic flow around the high pressure sitting over the eastern Beaufort. Tomorrow's 3,000 foot winds, again, same pattern, cyclonic flow around the low pressure system in the northern bearing, as well as the ones approaching the central Aleutians. Southerly flow, 20 to 25 knots, a little stronger as you can see over with that southerly jet stream of 30 to 50 knots just south of Kodiak. Then it weakens as you go to the interior, southeasterly 20 knots. High pressure still weak anticyclonic flow around this high pressure up here, 5 knots. Then over the southeast, you're going to have that northwesterly winds at 25 knots. Tomorrow's turbulence, you're going to have a swath going from the Bering Strait down to the Nunavik Island, below 5,000, light to occasional moderate. Again, isolated thunderstorms in the Kuskokwim Valley in the afternoon. And then over the Dixon entrance and south of the Hattagawa Island, below 6,000, that's for light, occasional moderate. We'll be back with your Marines after this.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm meteorologist Dave Snider, joined again by Eric Stevens from the GINA, or Geographic Information Network of Alaska at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Thanks for joining us again, Eric.
Glad to be here.
Thanks. We are talking about satellites today, and what are satellites? And the easy way to talk about that would be to introduce our friend the globe here, which is a round spheroid type shape. We haven't been on a flat Earth as far as history is known for several hundred years now, and because of that we also know that we are orbiting around other objects in space, and that objects are orbiting around the Earth as well. We call all those things satellites in some form or fashion, right, Eric?
Right. Well, this leads to the discussion of Johannes Kepler's research 400 years ago. Did some of the early work and founded the 3 laws of planetary motion, which are important to planets and also to weather satellites.
Okay.
Kepler's first law talks about how the orbit of an object around another object is an ellipse, not necessarily a circle.
It's kind of a flattened circle?
Yeah, depending on how flat, so
squished
it could be.
Okay.
For our purposes, we'll just say they're mostly circular.
Okay.
The second law is most important for us, though, and that is the closer an object is to the thing it's orbiting, the faster it goes. So in the solar system, the planet Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. It orbits the sun in 88 days. It moves at 100,000 kilometers an hour.
It's a lot different than Earth.
Moving.
Okay.
Right. And further out from the Earth is Jupiter, and it moves at only 1/4 the speed of Mercury, and it has to go further, so it takes 12 of our years for Jupiter to make one lap. The further out you are, the slower you go.
Okay.
So we're talking about planets. What does it have to do with weather satellites? Turns out Kepler's laws apply to planets orbiting the sun. They also apply to satellites orbiting the Earth.
Okay.
You know, our natural satellite is the moon. There's the famous Apollo 8 Earthrise shot.
Beautiful shot.
Oh, yeah, you could just talk about that forever. December 1968, the moon is about 250,000 miles away from the Earth.
Okay.
It takes a month to go around the Earth. It's that far out, it takes a full month to do an orbit. Another shot here of the International Space Station. Instead of being 250,000 miles out, the ISS is only 250 miles up. It's really close. And so it doesn't take a full month for the space station to go around the Earth. It only takes 90 minutes. It's so close, it just whips right around 90 minutes.
Okay.
So weather satellites, there are a number of weather satellites, and there are a number of orbits. The further out you have the satellite, the longer it takes to go around the Earth. And this is important because different satellites have different purposes. So we have a satellite here. This little salt shaker lid will serve as our satellite going around the Earth. Let's say you have a satellite that's 22,000 miles above the Earth. This is kind of a magical spot because at that distance, it takes a full day for the satellite to go around the Earth. Imagine if you put your satellite 22,000 miles up from the equator and had it go with the Earth as the Earth spun.
The same speed.
Right. The satellite goes around the Earth just as fast as the Earth itself is turning. In effect, the satellite will hover in one spot.
Oh, I see.
And it appears when you make a movie loop of picture after picture after picture, you can replay that and you get these movie loops. Geostationary satellites, these are called. These are stationary in appearance, and they provide a constant frame of reference. We've got an example here. Another nice thing about these satellites, since they're that far out at 22,000 miles, you can see from pole to pole, which is nice. So they're pretty broad view and a constant frame of reference.
So those are the pictures, if you're watching a weather satellite loop on TV, your favorite weather show, that's the picture that you're going to see is one that's sitting over the same spot.
If you're seeing a movie loop play again and again, that came from geostationary satellites. That's the only way you can do that.
Yeah.
The bummer, though, for us in Alaska is we're up on the very top of the planet, and for geostationary satellites to work, they have to be over the equator. So for the geostationary bird to view Alaska, it's kind of like reading a book, but you're reading it edge on like that.
Right.
So there's another kind of orbit called the polar orbit, which is nice. We're near the pole.
Yeah.
And here's a satellite. Those polar orbiters are much closer to the Earth, getting down toward International Space Station elevation. And they're not in the equatorial plane. Rather, their orbital plane is inclined like this. And the Earth turns under that satellite as the satellite orbits. The nice thing about that is for Alaska, the satellite will go right over Alaska a few times a day. And so you get a much closer image. We've got a shot from the Sumi NPP satellite. Specifically, it's a true color image from the VIRS sensor. That's an acronym there.
Okay.
But it's a beautiful shot of Alaska, and you can see so much detail. The kind of detail, because you're close in.
Very high resolution.
You couldn't get this kind of view from geostationary satellites. The advantage of these polar orbiters is nice close imagery. You can see a lot of detail. The disadvantage, though, is that the satellite flies by, and then you have to wait a while to get the next image. And if geostationary weaknesses are that you're reading the page like that, the polar orbiter, you're reading the page straight on, but it's so close, and then it zips by, and you have to wait for the satellite to come around the Earth again. So there's no one perfect solution. Different satellites for different orbits, each has their strength, and amazingly, it all comes back to Johannes Kepler and his laws of planetary motion, the same laws that govern how the planets orbit the sun. They govern how the satellites orbit the Earth, and even our little pretend salt shaker right here.
Right, okay. Well, since the 1957 Sputnik, we've been putting man-made objects into orbit around the Earth and starting to get pictures back. Who knows what will happen in the next 50 to 100 years. Amazing stuff.
It's a growing science, and the future is bright.
Thank you so much for joining us again, Eric. And for more information on Dehne and what the satellite systems do there and what Eric's been talking about today, you can go to the web address on your screen. For Alaska Weather Facts, I'm meteorologist Dave Snider.
Welcome back to your Alaska weather. Starting off with the sea ice analysis, pretty much the sea ice, you got some open waters there in the Antarctic Gulf, as well as just southwest of St. Lawrence Island. The ice here will continue to spread out and melt and fall apart. Also along the northwest coastline from Barrow down to Point Hope, you're going to have the ice that'll continue to thin out and spread and gradually pull away from the shore. But so that's what you can look for in the next several days, the weeks coming up. Thursday's forecast for the southeast, you have predominantly in the inside waters northerly flow, small craft northwesterly here at the Dixon entrance. The outside waters near Yakutat, you'll have westerly flow 15 knots, and then small craft south of Yakutat, northwesterly flow all the way down to the Dixon entrance. Wave heights 7 to 9 feet. For Friday, outside waters to continue to northwesterly flow south of Yakutat all the way down to Dixon entrance, and again, strongest winds as you get closer to Yakutat. The inside waters, northerly flow south of Lynn Canal, and then it's northwesterly Dixon entrance. But you do have southerly flow there for Lynn Canal, 10 knots. Thursdays for south central marine forecasts, you're going to have predominantly weak winds going to the Prince William Sound, southeasterly flow, and then it continues southeast flow along the waters all the way down to Kodiak region, the Barren Islands, small craft winds there. Southern and northern Cook Inlet, you're going to have southerly flow 10 to 15 knots, and then through the Barrens, you'll have that small craft wind southeasterly. For Friday, for the south central, you're going to have continued southeasterly flow through the Gulf. Strongest again from the Bering south to Kodiak region. Easterly flow through the Prince William Sound. Then the northern Cook Inlet, you're going to have a northeasterly flow 15 knots, and then a southerly for the southern Cook Inlet, and then still marine small craft winds there southeast through the Barrens, and 20 knots through the Kodiak through Bering Strait, the Shelikof Strait, that is. Sorry about that. For the Alaska Peninsula, you're going to have a small craft winds on the Pacific side through just north of Shelikof Island, and then the Bering side through the Bristol Bay, southeasterly flow 15 knots, and southerly as you get closer to Perryville and all the way down to Cape Sarachef. And then for Friday, continued southeasterly flow there just south of Kodiak, and then you'll have gale force winds westerly there near the Shumagon Islands. And then on the Bering side, Bristol Bay, southerly flow, and then westerly flow as you get from Perryville on down to Cape Sarachef. Then again, with this occluded low pressure system that's moving to the chain here, you're going to have westerly flow here, northwest weak there near Dutch. And then on the Pacific side, northerly flow south of the Dutch. Near Shemya, you'll have a southerly flow, again with this low pressure system that's pushing into the near western Aleutians. For Friday, you'll have easterly flow near Shemya, and then the Bering side, from Adak eastward to Dutch, you'll have southwesterly flow, westerly near Dutch, and that'll be small craft winds. And you'll have pretty much small craft winds on the Pacific side, westerly, and then trans more southerly near AKwx. And then for Thursday marine forecast for the west coast, pretty much all southerly small craft, and then weaken somewhat through the northern Bering and the St. Matthew Island region, easterly flow there, 20 knots, southwesterly through the Pribilofs. And then Friday for west coast, probably all westerly, small craft winds as you get into the Bristol Bay, YK Delta region right there. And then for Friday, along the Arctic coastline, for Thursday, all easterly flow, 15 to 20 knots, and then southwesterly as you get through the Bering Strait, and that'll be 20 knots. And then for Friday, the Arctic coastline, you're going to have easterly to northeasterly, 15 knots, and then it transitions to northeast to easterly as you get into the Bering Strait there. And then tonight's forecast, again, this low pressure system sitting over the northern Bering, with a weak trough extending through just south of the Seward Peninsula. You'll have some isolated, slight chance of thunderstorms in the Kuskokwim Valley, and scattered showers around this low pressure system. Your scattered snow showers will be on the backside of this system. Over the southeast, you got some light onshore flow just near the Dixon entrance. Always beautiful skies through the northern Gulf, all the way up to the Alaska range there. And then for Thursday forecast, again, slight chance of isolated thunderstorms in the Kuskokwim Valley, and this low pressure system will move up through the Alaska Peninsula, bringing southerly flow and light rain. In the southeast, you'll have southerly flow. That's it for your forecast. We'll see you tomorrow.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.